You see, the cashless is only naam ka.
More than the bimari, the claim can cause the pain.
Insurance and cashless just takes too much time.
Better to just pay and get the reimbursement.
When you most need it, it doesn't come through.
As someone who has spent a lot of time in hospitals over the last 6 months with treatments spanning from the youngest to the oldest in the family, what we just heard is common banter in the hospital waiting room as family members shuttle between admissions, discharge and the TPA counter. Almost like an age-old game of Beech Ka Bichu, hoping against hope that the elusive cashless column gets approved. But many find themselves giving up and just applying for reimbursements. But this works only for those fortunate enough to have the money upfront. And with medical costs soaring in the last 5 years, that pool is getting smaller and smaller, while those needing hospitalization is definitely rising. In fact, data from insurance claims show that the cost of treatment for just common ailments that require hospitalization has more than doubled in the last 5 years. And it's even higher in some metros. Mumbai, for example, where I reside, the average claim for infectious diseases is now 80,000 rupees, which was merely 30,000 rupees 5 years ago. In a bid to ease the back-breaking or rather wallet-tearing cost, insurers have come together and lifted the age-old restrictions of networks, meaning there is no barriers between which hospital is empaneled, which clinic is actually having a tie-up with an insurer. Now, if you have insurance, you can avail cashless anywhere, or rather, everywhere.
We've got about 45,000 hospitals which are registered now. Imagine all these 45,000 hospitals will now be available for the customers. Customers don't have to go to the hospital and first give deposit, give money from their pocket, then go to the insurance company, get the reimbursement, which takes whatever, 15 days to 20 days. So once it blooms in its full avatar, it will take some time for it to stabilize. But I think it's going to be a huge service differentiator, a huge step in customer experience. I think there's a crying need to promote cashless. I mean, that should be the mantra. Cashless, cashless, cashless.
That was Anuj Tyagi from HDFC Ergo. The mantra is catchy, but it may not be so easy to implement. We get your view from the Mumbai Medical Association to get your reality check on the feasibility of cashless everywhere.
We have not been able to arrive on the same page as far as the rates are concerned. So this is going to be the number one challenge. Getting everybody to agree to a particular rate is not going to be possible.
It's Tuesday, January 30th. I'm your host, Anupriya Nair, and with me will be ET's Shilpi Sinha as we decode how is cashless everywhere going to work here on the Morning Brief. Nearly 500 million people in India have health insurance, and only a little more than half of those apply under cashless claims for their medical reimbursements. Counterintuitive, isn't it? There has also been an age-old fight between medical care providers and the insurance providers on rates and reimbursements. And the person who suffers the most? The already suffering patient. So will this cashless everywhere solve the problem, or is it a cosmetic customer service cover-up to make the insurance industry feel good? I turn to my colleague Shilpi Sinha, who's an in-house expert on the same. Shilpi, thank you for joining in and welcome to the Morning Brief, your debut, in fact, on the podcast.
Thank you, Anupriya.
Shilpi, first, for the uninitiated, what does this headline really mean?
So, General Insurance Council has come up with this initiative of cashless everywhere in consultation with all the general insurance companies and health insurance providers in the country. Under this cashless everywhere, policyholders can now get treated at any hospital. They do not need to actually choose from a hospital which is part of the network hospital of the insurance companies that they bought health insurance from. So they can actually avail this cashless facility, for which they need to do certain things, like they'll need to inform their insurer 48 hours before the planned procedure. And in case of emergencies, they'll have to inform them within the 48 hours of emergency. So this is a development. Right now, policyholders, if they're buying health insurance cover, say from New India Assurance, they could only go to hospitals that are empaneled under New India Assurance for cashless. Otherwise, if they go to hospitals outside of the cashless facility, they'll have to ask for reimbursement. So they pay out of pocket and then later get it reimbursed by the insurance company. So that is going to change now with this initiative that the council has come up with.
But Shilpi, in your conversations, and we're going to hear out some of those in the course of this episode, at a time when insurance costs as well as medical costs have been soaring, even those who have cashless options are not going for it for various reasons. Does this initiative seem to change that barometer or move the needle on it?
So the data suggests that today 63% of customers opt for cashless claims and others apply for reimbursement claims. So there is this hesitancy from the policyholders' point of view when they are applying for cashless. Some of the states they want to actually, are ahead in cashless, whereas some of the states where cases of frauds are high, there we have seen policyholders not really apply for cashless. They actually want to go for the reimbursement data. Both insurance companies and hospitals, they have to, support each other to make it a success. Insurance companies have to trust the data that a nursing home, hospital, or a small, 15-bed hospital is providing them when they're clearing the claims. Whereas, hospitals will have to be, sharing data on the real-time basis to make sure that, there's no case of fraud or, instances of fraud that occur and that pushes away insurance companies from settling claims on the real-time basis, and also from policyholders and opting for the cashless benefit.
In fact, Shilpi sat down with Dr. Sudhir Nayak, a renowned doctor in Mumbai and the president of the Medical Association here in Bombay, and began by asking him the question that all of us have, in fact. Is this feasible? And at first glance, what are the challenges and red flags?
The biggest challenge will be getting together everybody, all the nursing homes on one page. The size of the nursing homes is different, but in general, when we talk of a small nursing home, we generally talk of nursing homes from 5 to 25 beds. But unfortunately, the government does not differentiate whether it is even a 5-bedded or a 50-bedded. All the compliances which are required for a 500-bedded hospital are also required by a 5-bedded hospital. So the establishment cost is there as far as the nursing homes are also concerned. The insurance industry needs to understand this, and the challenge which we have faced from their end is the issue which they talk about is lack of transparency, lack of standardization. Unfortunately, we have not been able to arrive on the same page as far as the rates are concerned. So this is going to be the number one challenge. Getting everybody to agree to a particular rate is not going to be possible.
If you can throw some light on the challenges around that. Nursing homes have always complained that while insurers treat hospitals in a different way, they're not very comfortable paying the same amount for the procedures done in the nursing home. So how will this come in the way of cashless everywhere, where they'll be able to bring everyone together and empanel all the hospitals?
I think what this scheme proposes to do is that there will be case-by-case single patient MOU signed by the non-network hospitals. So the patient comes to me for a surgery. I want to do it. I'm not part of the network, but my patient is requesting for a cashless. I go to the insurance company, says this patient would have otherwise gone in for a reimbursement. Now she's here. These are the charges which I'm proposing. Now you tell me what is your package which you are offering. If we arrive on the same page, if they say whatever charges I'm proposing, it is okay for them, I would be more than happy to sign it, and we would be able to go forward to treating this patient on a cashless basis. But then the clarity on what would be the turnaround time regarding the payment which they will make to me, and on what basis, what is the type of documentation that they will require from my end, I think there will be some issues which they will have to address before we can go take this forward.
Dr. Nayak, in case of an authorization, is there any concern on how much will insurance companies finally pay to small nursing homes?
Normally, we have seen in the cashless hospitals that when you ask for a letter of authorization and you say, suppose your bill is going to be 1 lakh rupees. They are going to say, okay, you start the treatment. My initial authorization is for 30,000 or 40,000 rupees. And as the case proceeds, when you at the time of the discharge, we will give you the complete authorization. I complete the treatment with the basis of that 30, 40,000, whatever they have initially agreed upon, and with the understanding that the bill that I have quoted is 1 lakh. At the end of it, if the surgery is completed, the patient wants to go home, and then they tell me, no, we cannot give you 1 lakh. I'm going to give you only 50,000. Then what do? I can't tell the patient that you'll need to pay me the difference, because by the patient has said, I have come to you because you have said you're going to give it, make it cashless for me. So this is an issue. What we would like them to tell us is, at least for the non-network hospitals, the authorization, once you agree upon a particular rate for the package, the authorization should be for the full amount. and there should be a predefined period in which they will transfer the money into my account. So these are some of our concerns which we have.
You spoke about package rates as well and how these need to be standardized.
I think more than 200 procedures for which they have package rates, and therein lies the rub, because the rates which they are offering for those packages in the nursing homes are not viable. For example, for ordinary appendix surgery, I mean, many of the nursing homes have been told to do it at 25,000-30,000 rupees, wherein ordinarily they would be charging at least 50,000 rupees. And the same procedure in a Lilavati hospital, the insurance company will gladly pay even 1 lakh rupees, which is what we have never understood. My charges which I am asking you is still much below what you are agreeing to pay the patient in a corporate hospital. So the suggestion which I have given them is that you have the reimbursement data. As I said, more than 70% of my patients have insurance, so they are all claiming it under reimbursement. That data, because with the use of technology, is available at the click of a button. So for a particular surgery, my average charges is 1 lakh rupees in the last 2 years. And this time also, for when a patient comes to me for a hysterectomy and I have quoted 1 lakh rupees, you should be sanctioning that 1 lakh rupees, because anyway you have to make that payment if the patient puts up for reimbursement, right? Now, if you tell me that I'm giving you an added facility for your patient, so the patient sticks to you. So for that, what are you willing to offer me? Maybe I might agree to a 5-10% convenience fee, which you all are taking from me, because it's a convenience to my patients. But if you're going to still tell me, no, I'm going to give you only 50 or 60,000, take it or leave it, then I'm going to say leave it.
So the rate differential should also be lowered.
Yes, the easiest way to make a beginning would be to go on the reimbursement data. If somebody is asking for that normal charges was 1 lakh rupees, and just because now the insurance company he knows and is quoting 1,25,000, don't sanction that 1,25,000. You show him the data that, see, last year, these many patients you have done at an average of 1 lakh rupees. Why are you asking for 1,25,000 now? Don't do it. Don't sanction 1,25,000. In fact, we would go one step further as an association and tell them such cases where the patient, where a particular nursing home you feel is overcharging because the patient is insured, you get back to us. We'll call the member and have a discussion with them that this is not the correct thing that you should do. There should be some standardization of the charges, whether the patient is insured or not insured.
But many say that hospitals and nursing homes actually inflate prices when individuals with insurance, undergo procedures there. What do you have to say to that?
I don't think that is happening. This was a myth which was being propagated by the insurance companies that once the patient says that I have an insurance, nursing homes jack up their charges, which is not true. Now, as far as the packages are concerned, many of them which offer cashless, if the packages are ridiculously low, they will try and convince the patient, Baba, please don't put it up for cashless. You may pay me upfront and get reimbursed. You will get your whole package.
So to make it successful, the things that you're saying is, first is the rates differential should come down. There should be a standardized rate that you agree to for procedures.
Correct. And it should be based on the data which is already there with them of that particular hospital, of that particular surgeon, right? With my seniority, if I'm charging 1 lakh rupees and with somebody else is charging 50,000, but you have the data of my hospital, right? You already have that data, and this data is there for so many years. And that data can be shared amongst all the companies. It can be available at a click of a button here now.
So you're saying by use of technology, it can be accessed and the rates can be arrived at?
Yes. There are more than 30 TPAs and more than now 15, at least I know of at least 15 to 20 insurance companies. And no hospital is empaneled with all the TPAs and no hospital is empaneled with any insurance. So what they are saying is, if you have a tie-up, say with X company, now this patient is a Y company, so whatever rate you have agreed with X company, we will give you the same rate. So even if you are empaneled with one, the rates which you have agreed upon with that particular company, we will also give you the same rate, which is fair enough, which I also understand. But what happens for a nursing home which is not empaneled with anybody? That is wherein the issue which will need to be addressed.
And who better to answer those than the insurer himself, who's making the payments? Can your treatment at a hospital and clinic be truly cashless and painless while being cashless? And why are people not opting for it even when they have the option? Anuj Tyagi from HDFC Ergo gives us some startling facts and refutes the rate debate as he discusses why this move is a game changer.
I think it will be industry defining as far as the customer experience is concerned. It actually takes the customer health insurance experience to a different notch. A, it eases the cash flow load on the customer. B, it brings consistency in servicing. All these hospitals will be on the network of insurance companies, so they can imagine some level of consistency. C, I'm reasonably hopeful that it will help minimize the fraud which happens today. Every percentage of fraud which comes down, it actually goes back to the customer. You see, today we have as per the Rohini, we've got about 45,000 hospitals which are registered now. Imagine all these 45,000 hospitals will now be available for the customers. Customers don't have to go to the hospital and first give deposit, give money from their pocket, then go to the insurance company, take the reimbursement, which takes 15 days to 20 days. So once it blooms and it's full avatar, it will take some time for it to stabilize. But I think it's going to be a huge step in customer experience.
What kind of preparedness will go from insurer's point of view? Like what kind of steps will you have to take to ensure that it is possible, feasible, and also, as you're saying, a lot of elements that needs to be taken care of, right? The challenges in terms of frauds. So what kind of preparedness will go from your point of view?
So first and foremost, at this stage, we have to be ready with the situation that if a customer estimates us 48 hours in advance in case of planned hospitalization and 48 hours after hospitalization in case of an emergency, we have to have the wherewithal to go to that hospital and organize everything so that the customer experience is seamless. Slowly, the way I see, and that's where the NDHM platform and when the National Health Claim Exchange gets in shape, these platforms will also come handy, where all hospitals, all insurance companies will be on one platform. So what comes second is what is insurance companies' preparedness to integrate themselves with these platforms, which is fairly high. I think these are API-led integrations, and I understand most of the companies are in this state of readiness. So it's as simple as that. As long as we have the capability to call up the hospitals, reach out to the hospitals, complete the paperwork, give them the commitment and confidence that their money will come from us, it's as simple as that. So I don't see this as a complex exercise. As far as the fraud minimization is concerned, the extent of fraud in a cashless and the extent of fraud in a reimbursement, the percentages, the incidence rate is fairly different. Because in cashless, you get to put it simply, you get to see and smell the claim on day zero. In reimbursement, everything has happened and then it comes. So once the customers start intimating, because that's a prerequisite, 40 hours, 8 hours in advance and 48 hours within the hospitalization in the event of an emergency treatment. So once the information starts coming to the insurance companies, and today most of the insurance companies, I would say, have fairly evolved digital AML capabilities to smell a claim. The problem happens when the claim doesn't come to us in advance. It comes to us 30 days after the reimbursement claim has happened. So once this data starts flowing to the insurance companies, our ability to segregate the wheat from the chaff is fairly high. The other thing that most people don't realize, and I would say it's a weakness that we've not been able to popularize it, that higher the cashless, lower is the utilization of sum insured for the customer, because the cashless claim size is relatively smaller than is bit smaller than the reimbursement. So cashless actually eats up customers sum insured slowly. And it's not that the industry does not have cashless tie-ups today. If you see it even in a fragmented manner, insurance companies have fairly high cashless networks. But the utilization is very low. I think at industry, it's 63, 64% of the cashless utilization. So all this together, in my opinion, I think there's a crying need to promote cashless. I mean, that should be the mantra. Cashless, cashless, cashless.
One point that hospitals bring up when they talk about cashless everywhere is the rate difference that, say, a small nursing home, insurance companies are willing to pay for a procedure in a small nursing home versus a corporate hospital. How do you respond to that?
I would say it's a logical argument. See, whenever any such initiative will take off, there will be lots and lots of P's and Q's, ifs and buts, and few unknowns. No, yes, because the large hospitals will have large operating expenses, the quality of treatment interventions, the technology that they will use could be different. So yes, logically, there would be a difference. Although, if you see, I'm not sure to what extent I agree with this observation. There is a difference between the tariffs of large hospitals and small hospitals and very small hospitals. It's not that the insurance company so far has also broad-brushed everyone and said the same tariff is applicable everywhere. In fact, not only this, I would also give a counter-argument that even for a large hospital, there should be a tariff difference between a metro city and a non-metro city and a smaller location. Because, the inflation is not the same everywhere and the expenses are not the same everywhere. So yes, absolutely valid argument. So A, it's not that the insurance companies have same tariff for everyone. The tariffs even today are slightly differentiated. And B, we also need to keep in mind the tariffs, as you move from one territory to another, depending on the inflation and expenses.
So would you say that the lack of standardization, which is one of the reasons why, that is being talked about, will be resolved as we go ahead in this drive of cashless everywhere?
In my opinion, yes. Because if you see, it is for the first time the entire insurance industry and the entire hospital ecosystem will actually start talking, together under one umbrella, which is the cashless umbrella, right? Abhi tak kya hai ki, we all have been talking things with the right intent, but the messages get fragmented. And I may not have answers to everything. The hospitals may not have answers to everything today, but we'll sit across the table. So yes, the first and foremost that comes to my mind, and as I said, thrice since morning, the standardization of cells. Maybe the tariffs will get standardized for similar hospitals. The treatment protocols will get standardized. From customers' point of view, the documentation requirement will get standardized. From hospitals' point of view, the payment terms will get standardized. So yes, I think it's a brilliant opportunity for all of us to sit under one umbrella and all things will fall in shape. Our cashless is roughly about 67-68%. और हमारा 4% कैशलेस होता है, 4% रीइंबर्समेंट होता है इन दी नेटवर्क हॉस्पिटल. चलिए उसको मान लेते हैं पार्ट हमारा होगा कि भाई किसी में इन्फॉर्मेशन है, हमने कहा रीइंबर्समेंट चाहिए. आउट ऑफ दिस क्लोज टू अबाउट 67-68% कैशलेस. गुजरात इज ओनली 33% कैशलेस. महाराष्ट्र इज ओनली 45-46% कैशलेस. तो ये दो स्टेट्स मिलके कैशलेस परसेंटेज को दीज टू स्टेट्स पुल डाउन. अगर यही दो स्टेट कैशलेस बढ़ाना शुरू कर दें, and we've not tried, but for some reason, but counterintuitive है ना कि at least Gujarat and Maharashtra are supposed to be, the citizens are known to be very economic savvy, money savvy. Why would they park their money in the hospital for 30 days, insurance company and take claim from insurance company after 30 days? Customers don't realize. कई दफा होता है कि customers के दिमाग में भी impression है that cashless is slower and reimbursement is faster. तो मैं अपनी जेब से I'll flash my card and I'll get an entry. और नहीं तो insurance company से देर लगे. हमें 40 मिनट लगते हैं यार कैशलेस क्लेम अप्रूव करने में. और अगर एसटीपी है जिसमें डॉक्यूमेंटेशन की कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज नहीं है, 28 मिनट का कैशलेस का टर्न अराउंड टाइम. वी आर ऑब्सेस्ड विद कस्टमर एक्सपीरियंस एंड कस्टमर गिविंग देम अ डिफरेंशिएटेड एक्सपीरियंस. मैं कह रहा हूँ कि कस्टमर को 28 मिनट भी क्यों वेट करना पड़े. Why should we not have a capability that my customer should not wait even for 28 seconds? Arey, they bought a policy, it is their right to get a one button click service, and we're moving towards that. So that's where machine learning is coming today. हमारे आज की तारीख में मतलब चाहे हमारा मोटर क्लेम देख लीजिए, हेल्थ क्लेम देख लीजिए, हमने आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस को हर जगह घुसा. So things are improving and I'm sure other companies are also doing this. मुझे नहीं पता ये कौन कस्टमर्स को बता रहा है, समझा रहा है ये 40% कस्टमर्स को कि reimbursement is better than cashless. I think there's a larger need for us to intensify our efforts in educating customers that cashless is the way to go.
Do you see premiums coming down if we're able to adopt this and increase this number from 63-64% to say 70-80? And going forward, because we're talking about cashless everywhere, it's going to be 100%. That's the aim, right? So does it have an impact on the premium, health insurance premium?
So as I said, Shilpi, intuitively the premiums will come down because the fraud incidents should go down. If all insurance companies start utilizing this data, and why am I saying if? I see no reason why the insurance company will not use this data to arrest fraud at an early stage. Intuitively, the claims will come down, which means the premium should get rationalized should come down over time. Now, premium alone is a function of the inflation, the treatment cost, the frequency. The frequency ideally should come down. I think the benefit should go to the customer. I say it, and all the industry leaders are saying it, that we should promote it to the customers that it will have an A, impact on your servicing, B, it will help you manage your funds beautifully. Why block your fund for 30 days for a reimbursement claim? Why don't invest it somewhere and earn return, right? Don't block your funds. Consistency of servicing, your sum insured doesn't get eaten up very fast. And yes, all of us collectively, all customers, all insurance companies collectively will pull in these efforts such that the premiums should also see a downward revision.
One thing is evident. It's going to be a lot harder to implement than it was to announce it. But that doesn't mean that one gives up on it. As Anuj was also mentioning, that this would have a long-term benefit for customers, not just for their experience, but even for their wallets, which could see some amount of revision of premium coming down. Premiums have gone up a whopping 15 to 25% across the board. And that has been a bigger pain point. But as Shilpi explains, the pull down of the premiums may not be as easy.
So this is what insurance companies are saying. See, health insurance premium rises for many reasons. It's not only up to insurance companies to bring down the cost. Many factors that goes into it, like medical inflation, age of the insured, the claims history, several other things. But when you have to talk about this initiative and how it can actually link to the price or the health insurance premium, it can eventually lead to bringing down the cost because insurance companies will have better visibility on the claims. And, if the fraud comes down, they'll be able to plug some of the loopholes there. And that will actually lead to better coverage of health insurance in the country and lower the premium. That's what industry will hope for.
Well, a lot to track. Thanks for that, Shilpi. And more coming in from the insurance sector. I'm sure that there will be a lot more for that. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of the Morning Brief podcast. You've been listening to me, Anupriya Nair, your host, and Shilpi Sinha from The Economic Times. A big shout out to the team that helped put this together. Vinay Joshi on production, Indril Bhattacharjee and Rajas Nayak on sound, and the entire team of TMB. We'll be back on Thursday, and it's a big budget week as well. So a lot coming up, so stay tuned. Have a good day.